Hello everyone, we are back. My name is Cassidy or Starr and I am a Light Renegade, part of a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the galactic realms and beyond the veil. Another message from Diana, the former Princess of Wales today. If it's your first time here, welcome. You might want to start from the beginning of these Diana messages if you find yourself here today for the first time. Obviously, do what feels right for you. But this might not make sense to you unless you kind of go back and watch a few more. So I've been channeling Diana for a couple of weeks now. She's wanting to come through a fractal of her to share her truth and her story. So that is what I'm here to share today. We are on the third chapter of kind of the more darker things that are wanting to be brought forward, but there are many messages of light and support that she has already given us, so you might want to start from the beginning and ease yourself in, or you might want to jump straight in with this powerful message. This chapter is called Those People, and yeah, it's starting to take shape where this story is going, and I think it is going to be a buckle up kind of situation. As I've mentioned before, I've been delving into the darker realms of this world, and yeah, it's quite, I think horrific's the only word for it. I have been shocked to my core. I had heard rumours, I had read things in the past, but I had no idea just how deeply rooted into the entire fabric of our existence and our lives all of this darkness is, and continuing at this time. So be kind to self. Diana does give a little bit of a pep talk in the beginning of this message, which is really beautiful. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I feel like I'm having to hold myself back from all the things that I want to be saying and sharing, but I don't think YouTube would have me on for much longer if I did. So yeah, moving forward I might sort of allude to things by not saying the exact wording of things, but I will try and make it as abundantly clear as possible what I'm talking about, and that's kind of what Diana is doing with these messages too, because we don't want to get flagged or taken down. I think for future we're going to have to figure out a way to make sure we can't be silenced in any way, but that is for a later date. For now we're going to have to use lighter phrasings for things, and I'm sure you will be able to allude with the words used. But yeah, this is the next chapter from Diana, and it's called Those People. Thank you, dear souls, for being here. I appreciate your essence and for shining a light on this world at this great time of transformation. Remember, the light has already won. We are merely catching up on our own divinity. Keep holding the faith. The light is present more than ever at this time. Again, I say thank you. But back to me. As I had mentioned before, my children, in those 4 months I had been taking myself off those horrid little bottles, I began to see more and more people appear on the lawns of my home. Faces I didn't recognize, some I very much did. Celebrity faces. I thought, why are they here? And why do they seem to be here for my children? I would see them playing in the garden. Harry, a newborn babe at this time, barely spent as much as a couple of hours in my own arms a day. The rest with staff, or being passed around what seemed to be a gathering from time to time. It didn't make sense to me, but I felt too weak at this time. But I felt too weak within the first month after birth to question it. But I felt too weak within the first months after the birth to question it. What I wasn't prepared for was what the voice told me. This idea that somehow I was being taken out of the picture, phased out to create a gap between me and my children. I didn't understand why. The voice told me I must not trust anyone who is taking care of my children at this time. They wish to create a divide, to seem as though you do not care about them. I soon realized how damaging it would be for Harry to not be breastfed. I had to think fast. I made sure to keep within my time constraints, super hyper up until around 4 p.m, and then the crash, until I needed to slump by dinner and be taken back to bed. This went on for some time. The voice began to alert me when I needed to make sure I was around my children. I made it a priority of mine to make sure that they were not out of my sight for too long. I could feel my husband's anxiousness about this as I began to shift all my focus to them. To my surprise, of course, my schedule began to fill up again. However, this time I said no. My boys are my priority, the heirs to the throne. You want me to be by their side, do you not? They are far more important than me in this world. Someday they will be here, and I may not. I was playing them slowly but surely at their own game. It was hard at first, but I was a great actress, something I would still pride myself on to this day. But it was tiring keeping up this act of delusion for them, the pet, the mistress, the slave at mercy of the poison and the darkness, which was still yet to roll in. It came much sooner than anticipated. And that was where Diana left off for today. I feel like we're going very step by step, very, week by week, moment by moment. And I think she's really wanting to create a picture of what her life was and how limited it really was at that time. Kind of me sat in her energy and feeling how she felt. It's very much as though I'm in her bedroom and then I see her, at a desk, and she's sort of looking out at this lawn at these people and very confused, very just unsure, uncertain, but there's not many people around her. There are not many people around her. It's like she's just being left alone for a lot of the time. And, I understand this. It's like because they see her as being intoxicated by this poison. They see her as being a slave to them, to the system, and just really irrelevant. So I feel very glad for her that the voice appeared, and Jesus was there to catch her, because it doesn't feel much short of hell. I can't imagine what it would have actually have been like to have been her, but I feel glimpses of that, and it feels pretty lonesome. Very much a outsider, very much a unimportant, I think is the word. And I can feel, the friction with those around her. I can feel the essence of that in the air, and that's palpable, that's thick. It's like you can taste the divide, you can taste the anxiety in the air, and it's a heaviness in the air, like wading through something that you just don't want to be in. And I can feel that, and I can't imagine the strength that it must have taken for her to really tap in and dig self out of where she was placed, and you know, that's something I think we can all align with our lives at this time. Perhaps not in such extreme ways, but really having to stand up for self and to stand strong in what you believe in, what your reality is for you, and knowing what's best for you. I think that's why Diana really tried to hammer that message in of who is supposed to be around you at this time, because, you know, she fell at that hurdle and had many people around her that just were not for her highest good and were very much wanting her to be at the peril of them and to find her demise. And, you know, take that message on. I know it triggered a lot of you, but please hear that as a warning, but also an invitation. It's an invitation to really think about your life at this time and who you are and what you want to be and what mark you want to leave on this world and where you want to stand in this. It is really time to decide and to really stand strong in your beliefs and to not waver no matter what is thrown at us. You know, I very much know that this isn't going to be for everyone, and it's going to create a divide for sure, moving forward. And I've had to come to a place of peace with that, and I've made some really hard decisions in my life to step out, step away from certain people, certain places, certain ideologies in my life, certain beliefs, certain ego traits, certain shadow aspects. You know, I've had to step even further into my shadow to kind of align with these messages and being brought to some very harsh home truths of, you know, things that I remember from my life, incidences that I remember in my life that were of a darker nature, sort of glimpses of previous lives that I realized I had when I was younger. And there was a moment of time in my life where I genuinely thought that I was evil, and I remember I would receive things in my dreams and what I would consider now to be the start of some sort of visioning, but it was almost as if like I just had this memory of just being evil, and I was sort of, it was like an imagination. Back then I would call it imagination because I didn't really know what a visioning was, and I very much wasn't in this mystical spiritual realm at all, but it would be like a very palpable imagination I think that I would have. And now I look back on it, I realize that I was just delving into past lives. So I had this underbelly of anxiousness and this underbelly of remembering things that I had done in previous lives that would be deemed as evil. And, you know, that's something I had to work through in this lifetime and kind of bring to the forefront and work through. And I very much did that in, yeah, I'd say probably like my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. I'm 33 now. But it's all making sense to me now. It's all clicking into place. And now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, okay, that was what that was. And slowly but surely, the pictures coming through of everything leading me up to this point. And, you know, it's still quite a lot for me to process and believe. I kind of can't believe that I'm here. I kind of can't believe that any of this is happening. But I know in my heart that it's my truth. I know in my heart that I was sent here to be this vessel for these messages, for the moving forward of this planet, of humanity. And I couldn't explain it for the longest time. I just didn't know why I was here, but I knew it wasn't for the life that I was being presented with. And I really had to take a stand and say, no more. You know, I wasn't going to be playing in that game anymore. I wasn't going to be a pawn to others, you know. And I think sometimes people are very much written into our timelines to be there for good reasons, you know, some karmic, some beautiful experiences, but I'm very much here for this work. I'm very much here to be standing strong in this at this time, especially for those that might need a helping hand. So know that I've been there, I'm still there, I'm still working through a lot in my own personal life, and the more that I delve into this, the more it is making sense to me, the more that I feel ready, and there is a fire in my belly to continue to be sharing what I consider to be universal truth. And you know, if you can't take everything, take small bits. And if you take only one thing, you watch one video, you don't even get the whole way through another video, I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad that you have heard something of pure light, which is what I would consider all of this to be. You know, I'm only here for the light. I work through a lot of shadow. I very much do stand in the darkness too. As I've said, we've done all of this. Many of us are very old souls, and I've lived it all. You know, I've done evil things in many lifetimes because I had to understand it all. We are a reflection of everything, and I wanted to experience all of that, so I felt prepared to be forward in this light. You know, some of it karmic, some of it I had to do that to be as light as I am today. But it's quite hard to process that. It's quite hard to accept, you know, that I've been the demon, I've been the devil, I've been that darker nature, you know. And to some that might sound too far stretched, to some that might sound ridiculous, to some they might not want to believe that they've done that too. And I understand that, and take everything at your own pace, but know that you have to face it all. You can't just step towards the light. You have to turn and face your shadow at some point, and maybe that's where some of you are now. And maybe some of you really do resonate with what I've just said in terms of feeling like you're evil, knowing some things that you've done, perhaps not in this lifetime or even in this lifetime, and you know, you're looking for forgiveness, and you'll find it here. You know, it's like no matter what you've done, you'll find it here. If you are looking towards the light right now, come forward. There is space for you here. Forgiveness is here, and know that that was supposed to be part of your journey, and that's what's brought you here to the light today. So be thankful for yourself and for taking that time to step forward into the light. The Queen Mother appeared in her reptilian self for me yesterday too, which was a shock to the system. And yeah, such a force, and I thought, you know, wow, like, yeah, all of this is very much here and very much real, and gosh, what a time to be alive, I thought, you know. And thank you for being here, and I look forward to bringing you more information, bringing you more truth. And please do reach out if you need anything. I appreciate all the lovely comments from everyone at this time, and this is going to challenge many of you. It's challenging me. It's challenging my personal life, and has done for quite some time on this journey. You know, it's like I've had to tear down everything, and that's been a struggle. So know that I'm so there with you if that's where you are at this time in your life. But know that you will come to a plateau of safety. You will come to a plateau of feeling like you've got this, and you will feel strong enough to keep pushing forward. And, you know, call out to all of those light beings that you feel called to. Call out to Diana, Christ consciousness, angels, any deities, whatever it is that you believe in. You know, hold that in your heart, and know that the light has already won, and we're just catching up. The world's just catching up. But go well. I will be back after the weekend, so I shall see you on Monday. Take care.